Hey, what's up, people? This is Nelo Ashipala, and I have something for the month of June, which is Men's Mental Health Month, and I'm going to talk about mental health a little bit from maybe a different perspective than you are used to hearing, and I'm going to touch on 7 points, and yeah, let's get into it. So, when we hear mental health a lot, especially men's mental health. We hear these forums, we see people on TV and all these different things. I'm sure you have heard these things before. Men should open up more, they should open up, they should be more vulnerable. Real men cry, real men cry. What else? It's okay not to be okay. These are the things we are used to hearing, and I'm sure if you have seen any poster this month about men's mental health, anything, if you have seen one, you have seen them all. This is generally the conversation in mainstream media. Men should open up more, men should be more vulnerable, men should be more. And my first point is really that we've been having the wrong conversation. And what do I mean by that? All this advice is very generic, right? All this is very generic. It's generic advice. It's a blanket advice to a very specific and distinct problem. Because mental health, even though the consequence or the result is the same, the journey there is not the same, and how you get different people out of it, different people's journey out of depression is not the same because they did not get in the same way. Someone is depressed because they lost their job. Another person is having an existential crisis. They just can't figure out life. They feel like they have no purpose. Those two people, you can't just throw generic advice on them and expect them that this will work for them. And the other point is that, so this advice is very generic. The other point is also that this advice, it largely speaks to people who are already going through something. This advice is usually for people who are already in it, people who are already struggling with their mental health, people who are already in something. And it doesn't speak to the preventive measures that we can put in place to tackle mental health, right? Because we are looking at this as though we don't want to prevent people from getting into it. We just want to talk to people who are already in it, which, I mean, it works, but to a certain extent it becomes a bit of a problem because you're already talking to people who are in the situation. But I think, as it is said, that prevention is better than cure, so we want to prevent. So the conversation I want to peddle today is more about preventing rather than reacting to a situation that has already happened. So, and another thing is that in the health fraternity, or when the health industry, it's not the first time we are having a pandemic of some kind, because I think we can rightfully now categorize that mental health has become a pandemic. People are committing suicide left, right, center, and all these things. And we've had HIV slash this was a pandemic. What happened with HIV was when it came, there was a lot of stigma, there was a lot of misinformation around it. So the first goal was first to accurately define what the thing is. That was when this thing first came on the scene. People were saying, no, it's only for gay people, and from people who what with monkeys, all these things. So people had to accurately define what the thing is and what it is not. What it is and what it is not, so that people generally can have an understanding of what is this thing. After people now understand what is this thing, how do you get it, what, then we can now come to how do you prevent. But first, what is it? The second conversation comes, how do I prevent? What habits, what lifestyle should I live? What should I do? And this is where the message shifted really to be your own hero, take control, get tested. It became about personal responsibility. After people understood what it is, it became now about personal responsibility. Condomize, be your own hero, take control. Imagine the possibility of a HIV-free generation. It begins with you. Break the chain and all these things, right? It became a behavior thing to prevent more people from getting this thing. Those who had it, the messaging was different, They use a condom, eat healthy, but everything. To those who have it, to those who didn't have it, the message became different. It became about one's personal responsibility of how you ought to carry yourself when you have it. When you don't have it, how do you prevent yourself from getting it? And I feel like so that has been an evolution, and largely even the messaging around HIV and AIDS now, because it has been understood, now it has moved to responsibility. And I feel like now the mental health conversation is still largely in the first phase, and it has been a while now. A lot of men, everybody has had some form of they know what anxiety is, they know what depression is, they know what this panic, they have panic maybe about some panic attacks and all these different things. Sometimes people might call it a midlife crisis. So I feel like the understanding there is now, we know what it is. The stigma around it has gone down quite a bit, because we now have different celebrities who have come out and have openly spoken about that. The Trevor Noahs of this world, Thierry Henry, they are significant masculine figures who have come out and have openly, right, gone out there and say, no, I used to be depressed, so we know what it is. So now but the conversation is still around this part. It has not moved to prevention. The conversation has not moved to prevention. Like it was with the HIV pandemic, the messaging is not how do we not get to the point of burnout. How do we not get there? How do we live differently? How do we fix our behavior, right? So that we do not get on the edge. How do we not get there? The conversation is still around, oh, what is this thing? Oh, when you are there, you must say ABC. No, when you are here, you must do when you are. But the question is, how do we not get there? Because there is a way. Surely there is a way. And then around mental health as well, why I say we are having the wrong conversation as well is there are people in mainstream media, some people with podcasts and all these other things, who tend to peddle this idea that there is no cause. Yeah? I would say causelessness. People who kind of say, no, you just wake up one morning and you are depressed. You just wake up one morning and you are suffering from burnout. You just wake up as though there is no cause for mental health. Like, there is no cause as to why a person might be depressed. There is no cause as to why a person might be burnout. There is no cause. It's like causelessness. So this makes it seem as though, because if I can just wake up one morning depressed for no reason at all, then it means there's also nothing I can do to get better. I must just sit there and hopefully wait something happens. Because there are people who peddle this idea that you can just go to bed fine. When you wake up, things are upside down. You don't know why, there is no cause, there's nothing you did, nothing happened. You just wake up and you are depressed. People make it seem like this is the case with mental health, which it is not. There is very much a cause. The only problem with the cause of mental health is that it is slow. Something could have happened, something might be happening for 3 years consecutively to you, and in the 4th year is when you just flip one day and you are in a deep state of depression, right? You become anxious about something. A lot of people suffer from childhood trauma. They were traumatized as kids, and these things come to show up 10 years later. But there is a cause, there is a root to the thing. So if there's a root, then one can identify slowly what that root is and wiggle their way out. So this is the first. Not entirely that I'm not dismissing, right, that the things that people say that men probably do need to open up more. They probably need to, but I feel like these things should be given in context. And I feel like they are just being put out there too much and out of their place. I think there's a proper procedure of when am I supposed to open up? When am I supposed to be vulnerable? When am I supposed to cry? Not that I shouldn't cry, not that I shouldn't open up, but to give more context to this generic advice that's out there. And that's why I say in this point that we are having the wrong conversation. And we need to switch from that to having the right conversation in this time that we are in, which is the conversation around prevention. I pointed out that I think we are having the wrong conversation. That was my point number 1. Point number 2 is really the core of everything else that I'm going to say. It is the foundation upon which the rest of the points are built upon. And it's the old maxim, know thyself. There is no knowledge more important than self-knowledge. And even in the mental health conversation, we cannot escape this. self-knowledge, because like I've made the example of HIV in point number 1. So I'm bringing this to say that when it comes to prevention of mental health, it begins with oneself. The possibility of our mental health not deteriorating as men. We are not immune to suicide, we are not immune to depression, we are not immune to all these things. But there are things we can do that put us in a place where we can see depression before it comes, where we can see things that might lead us down a path that we might not like, and we will steer clear of those things. So that's why I'm saying self-knowledge, because one who knows himself has really gone a lot of steps further beyond anyone else. Because in self-knowledge, you will know your tendencies, you will know the patterns, you will know what you are more likely to fall prey to and what you are not. Because without self-knowledge, without self-awareness, we keep repeating we have bad habits. Repeated patterns in our lives, things that keep happening repeatedly. You keep dating the same toxic people. You keep going for all these people who are always draining you of all your money and end up breaking your heart. And you call it bad luck, but you refuse to introspect this, because all these different people, you are the common denominator. And repeated bad habits, things that you know have almost landed you in trouble once, but you keep doing them because of this lack of self-awareness. You refuse to introspect. This is not just a thing for people maybe who have nothing to do, or for people on the spiritual path, or for very sophisticated people. It's for everybody. It's really a thing for us all. We have to put in effort to get to know ourselves. You have to really know who you are as a person, because knowing who you are will determine how you deal with your finances, how you deal in the dating market, how you conduct your household, your friendships. All this, if it's to go well, the foundation is you. And when you conduct yourself from a point where you really know yourself, you know how to deal with your money. Some people give other people to handle their money because they understand, oh, no, with this thing, it's not my strongest suit, it's not my best part. In the dating world, the kind of people you date, because sometimes there are people, I think a lot of men's mental health deterioration issues really stem from, I would say, this, from women, and usually money. And really understanding yourself, who you are as a person, your strengths, your weaknesses. These choices can inform who you date. They can inform how you handle your money, when to borrow, when not to borrow, how much to borrow. All these things are really determinant on this, that I know myself. I know I have a short temper. I know when you know yourself, You know which battles to fight and which ones to avoid. You know places that you should go to and places you shouldn't go to. Because all these things, though it's everyday small things like this that happen every day, in the long run, the body is keeping count. Because the body keeps score. If we flip this to physical health, there are some things that you are allergic to from the food standpoint. There's food that certain people just don't eat because they know if they eat, they will have trouble breathing, or maybe you know there's a certain type of food which doesn't kill you, but you know maybe it gives you diarrhea. So you know if you are going somewhere out to an important event, you don't eat that thing because you are among people. Then it makes your stay there uncomfortable. So even as it is with our physical health, so it should be with our mental health. The way we approach it, we should approach it from that standpoint that at some point I know this conversation triggers me. Don't engage in that conversation. This guy, this podcast person, he always says things that anger me. Stay away from those things. Don't expose yourself to danger because you know yourself. So know. See, we should really learn to maintain the health of our mind daily, on a daily basis. Daily. Because some of the issues that we are struggling with are things that have piled up for some is 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, some are 2 weeks, months. But daily maintenance puts you at that spot where you are able to digest certain things in installments, right? It's like how many of us pay for our houses and our cars. You get a loan for $2 million from the bank and you pay it every month for the next 20 years. And that monthly installment is not so heavy, but you miss your 5,000 monthly installment for 12 months. Now you multiply that 5 by 12, that amount there becomes difficult to handle. But the way we approach how we take account of it, the things you listen to on a daily basis, the things you watch on a daily basis, the things, how are they affecting you? Do you, at the end of the day, take some time and just sit down and see the direction in which your mind is going? Look at the state of your mind. How were your thoughts for the day, for that day? Because it really begins there. Sometimes if the day is too much, maybe at the end of the week, take some time. This is why there's a weekend. But what we do, Monday to Friday, you are working. Saturday and Sunday, you are partying. When is the time for you to just rest? Because sometimes it's just that simple. Sleep, for example, which is a big part. Not getting enough sleep can land you in serious trouble. If yours is 5 hours, 4 hours, get those hours daily. They recommend 7, but sometimes you are busy, you are working. Get some sleep. Rest. Put the phone down, put the laptop down, switch off the TV. Truly rest. Because what most of us, right, this maintenance here, You don't check in and see how things are going. Go the whole day, at the end of the day you have a beer to drown your soul. You come here, you are on the phone. There is so much noise that is buzzing, everything going on that is happening at the same time. We don't give ourselves time to just rest, truly rest. Go to the park, go get some fresh air, just look at nature, truly rest, because many of us don't. And do this not every 6 months, once in a while. When something is bugging you is when you want to do something. Daily, if it's possible. At the end of every day, sit down, maybe journal. Some of us who are church going, maybe you can listen to a sermon, something. Have quality conversations, quality convos. All these things I'm putting here are part of daily maintenance of your mind. You shower every day. I mean, it's winter. Maybe some people don't, but on a normal basis, people shower every day. You eat every day. You drink water. You make sure you are hydrated. How about your mind? What is it that you really do for your mind on a daily basis? Do you exercise? Do you read something worth reading? Do you watch something uplifting? Do you listen to something positive? Or is it just negative? Those toxic feedback loops in your mind on a daily. But even this to maintain, how do you maintain what you do not know? Because it takes us back to point number 2, which means for you to maintain your mind, you need to have a certain level of self-knowledge, a certain level of self-awareness, so that you can maintain that, because you know, okay, maybe I'm a bit drained, because sometimes you get in those, you have those conversations that just drain you, very draining, and you need to come and replenish. You rest, you listen to something positive, you reset your mind, because there are some people who just talk trash. The energy field around them is just toxic. And when you come home, you need to let out all that and reset yourself. All these things are important. Deal with things as they come. I'm going to give an example, I think, for especially university. When you're in university, they give you assignments ahead of time. But you find that we always want to do things last minute. I don't know. There are some things that you need to do, but we want to do things last minute. When things are going bad is when we want to put ourselves under that pressure, and that affects our mind. So even with life, because life throws so much at us every day, and we need, for the sake of our mind, for the sake of our sanity, to avoid, because this is a prevention conversation. It's not a conversation for us to go and talk on the other side when you are in it, when your mental health is visibly deteriorating. No, we want to have this conversation to keep you healthy mentally. Deal with things as they come. This will be pay your bills on time, settle your debts on time, Don't postpone these important issues. When there are issues in your life that you need to deal with, someone said something, people don't bottle up, because do not bottle up issues, because we like to do this. We like to do this. Things keep piling on you. You say, okay, no, I'm taking note. You take note, you take note, you take note. Before you know it, the burden becomes too heavy for you to bear. And I feel like this is something that really a lot of men, it's something that I think we really struggle with a lot. Because if you find, especially if you are in a situation where maybe you see a man has a breakdown, they offload so many things in one go that even you who they are talking to in that moment, you are struggling to process, because the person has held on to all these things for so long. Unforgiveness. The girl who cheated on you 10 years ago, you still have not forgiven her. And it's hurting you. It's painful. It's hitting you and you have not let it go. The person who was not there for you when you were struggling. Unforgiveness becomes bitterness. It becomes resentment. And it just makes you a sour person to be around. You no longer have anything good to say, because all these things have clogged your goodness. They have clogged your mind. You cannot see clearly anymore. These things have crowded your judgment, your discernment. Even good things that are supposed to come your way, you can't see, because you did not deal with things as they came. You piled up things for so many years. It's interesting. I have some friends I went with to high school, and this was Oshirambo High School, 2008 to 2013. And there are still people who are holding grudges against people who were bullying them in grade 8, in grade 10. This is how long has 2013 been now? It's more than 10 years. You are still holding on to things of 10 years and things. Because if, number 3, we said daily maintenance. If you don't maintain daily, you will not deal with things as they come, because you don't create time. And if you don't create the time to maintain yourself daily, to replenish yourself daily, if soccer is the thing for you, maybe it's basket, it's the gym, is do something for your body, for your mind. Because also it is often said that a healthy body is a healthy mind. There is a connection there. It is not just a miraculous separation no, there is a connection. That's why exercise which you do in the body, push-ups, what, it's also good for your mind. Rest for the body, for the mind. Do not pile up. Deal with things as they come. They are easier to deal with. Dealing with someone, a heartbreak now, is easy to digest, right? Digest now. This girl breaks your heart, and now there are 5 girls, and you have not dealt with the first heartbreak, and then the second one. And if you go and look at it properly, if you had digested the first one, you might have prevented the second one, because it's patterns. But because you do not take the time, you have not taken the time out to really know yourself and how you function, you have not taken the time to deal with things on a daily basis, right? Daily maintenance of your mind every day. What you listen to, what you look at, the things you say. So you do not deal with things as they come. You pile up things, and then later on the things become too much for you. And at that point, if you do have an outburst, it's bad. And sometimes these are the things that even lead to people going to do drugs and or becoming addicted to substance, because within you cannot deal anymore. You look for something external to help you deal. But you could deal with things as they come. They become much simpler to do. As I was saying, it's like paying the installments of a house. Maybe your installment is 7k, 10k per month. Easy. Now, if you accumulate that, it becomes perhaps 120,000 that you haven't paid for a year. Can you get it? Will you get it? Be selective but not silent. So we want to, because I said the anchor point is number 2, self-knowledge. And by knowing yourself, you know how you relate to everybody and everything else in your life. And you will know how to select people to talk to. Because there is a lot that we are dealing with in life, really. Not just men, but everybody. Everybody is going through a lot. Everybody is going through something. Even the people you think are happy, are doing well, people are going through things. But the difference between some people and others is that they have made an effort not to be silent, but to be selective. Because you need people in this life. You cannot do this life alone. You need confidence. You need people to talk to. Because sometimes in your mind you feel like a situation is impossible, but you talk to someone else and you realize it's not as bad as you thought it was. So this men need to be more open. Yes, they do, but not to everybody. You need to cry, not in front of everybody, because other people use your tears as a weapon against you later. Some people you talk to, you find that it's as good as you would have sent your secrets to NBC. They broadcast. Some people are broadcasters. They don't know how to keep and to conceal secrets. They are broadcasters. So be selective. Yes, men need to open up, but to who is very important. Who you open up to is very important. We need to be vulnerable, yes, but to who is very important as well. So you need to be very selective, especially about things that you deem sensitive about your life. You cannot just talk to anybody. You cannot be vulnerable with anybody. Because the state of vulnerability is a state which is like you have given someone internal access to who you are. And you don't want to give that kind of access to someone who you are not sure they are going to help build you up. Because when you are vulnerable, it's like you open your inner workings to someone, and that person should really be someone who can help build you up, someone who can help fortify you, not someone who is going in there to break you down from within. So be selective. Silence is not the answer. Also, blind trust, broadcasting your problems to everybody everywhere. They will find all manner of ways to hurt you, and then you might be in a worse off state than you were before. This is why I was saying in the beginning that this talk of just men need to be more open, more vulnerable, more, you need to cry, real men cry. But in front of who? Vulnerability in which space? Because not all spaces are safe spaces. Even some that have a branding for being safe are not safe. So you have to be very selective. You have to be very, very selective with where you go to for help, with who you talk to, who you are vulnerable with. You need to be very selective, because these are sensitive matters of the mind are sensitive matters. Matters of you not being okay, these are sensitive matters. When your car is not okay, you don't just drive by any mechanic anywhere to fix, especially when it comes to certain types of cars, because not everyone is equipped to deal with those kinds of cars. So you have to be very careful with who you open up to, who you are vulnerable to. Don't be silent. Definitely, silence is a killer. You need to speak. You need to be open. You need to be vulnerable. Yes, but who you are vulnerable to is equally important, because you cannot broadcast matters of your mind. There are things you need to conceal and only open up to people who will build you, people who will speak life to you, people who will encourage you, people who will motivate you. Other people want to hear your things so that they can use that as a tool to destroy you. So be selective, not silent. Take inventory. Take inventory. This, it's like if your body is not okay, right? There are signs, it gives you signals. It's just that sometimes we don't listen. We have not learned to listen to the body, but it gives you signs when it's not okay. Maybe the temperature is high. These are indicators that something is wrong. And it's even when you go to the doctor or the clinic, the nurse, they will ask you, for these signals, because it is those signals that when they gather together, they are able to make a diagnosis and say, oh, maybe it's this, but it's based off of those signals. So even the mind is the same. Even the mind is the same. The mind is the same. And when it comes to the mind, it gives us signs. Sometimes you realize you just can't sleep. But instead of trying to dwell in that and trying to figure out what could be the issue, you take sleeping pills. And the issue remains undealt with. More accurately, you would say this is like literally what people say sometimes when they go and drink alcohol. Most equivalent, I'm going to, distract myself. I'm going to, excuse my thoughts for for a while because they are, but these are signs. But there is a point where alcohol does not work anymore. There is a point you might get to where sleeping pills, you might take them and you might not sleep because now it is severe and the mind is screaming that there is an issue here that needs to be dealt with. See, I have in my very short time running my business, there is an important concept in business. I would assume it's in all business, called operations. Right? This is the core element of everything that happens daily in a business, right? And these are things that need to be attended to on a daily. You cannot pack these things and wait for month end to deal with them. It will be too late. On a daily, and even with the mind, you need to take inventory of your mind. Because there are times that you make some decisions that are a little bit heavy and they have an effect on your mind. But instead of really sitting with the mind and really taking inventory, you just check, how am I? How has this affected me? To process. We want to bypass these things. You jump from one toxic relationship that really ended badly. You are into another one. You don't take time for yourself to just process what has happened to me, what went wrong, how you jump from this immediately with all this unwellness that you already have, you jump into another. Because many of us have not learned to really sit with our thoughts and do a deep introspection of what is happening. You see, I will give an example of, there is, for example, this, I know it's generally a thing that is put out there that many men have multiple women and what. There are people who have multiple women and they really, really don't care. They sleep like babies at night. They don't care. It doesn't affect them in any way. They are dating Sophia and Maria and Angola and all these people. They don't care. They'll text baby, baby, hi baby, baby, baby to all this. They don't. Yes. But there are some other people. This is now a conversation to men. This is just not your thing. You know it deep down, you know it's not your thing. Because every time you send baby to you are feeling guilty. There is a sense of, but you continue doing it. And this is affecting your mind. And sometimes you find it, no, I've not been okay. I'm not really sure what's disturbing. You know, but you choose to ignore it because you want to be like. Because we are different, you must understand, right? That's why it goes back to number 2 again, where I said, know yourself, know what you can handle, what you cannot handle. Everything is not okay for everyone to do. There are people who do things and they are just fine. Multiple women sleep with the girl and her sister and her cousin, and they are just fine. No guilt, no remorse, nothing. But you try. You need proper counseling. But now you ignore this. You just no, I'm a man must. Hey, you put yourself in trouble. Take inventory on a regular basis to really check, how am I? How are things? How did this decision affect me? The fact that I have the money but I haven't paid so and so's money. How is that affecting me? Because it's all these things that seem. Because there's a story in my church days, way back. There's a story, a youth pastor of mine once. She liked talking about this story. She said there was a very big tree. Everybody admired it, and it was one of those trees that, because it's so big that it's been around for many years, different generations of people have seen it, and it was hailed as, no, this is, everybody goes under it for shade and all these things. And then one day the wind just came, and the wind wasn't really that strong, and shook this tree, and the tree crumbled and it fell, and everyone was shocked. So that how could this tree so big like this, how could it fall? And closer examination revealed that there were small insects that have been eating at the trunk of this tree for many years, eating at it, bit by eating at it. So as much as it still looked glorious, it still looked strong, but inside there were these small insects that were biting at it, eating, weakening every day. And one day the wind was not really because it was strong enough to really, no, the wind was just the final blow. The tree just fell. And if we fail to take inventory in our minds on a regular basis, if we fail to really sit down, have not just conversations about Messi and Ronaldo, about who is the GOAT, about the music industry, about Drake and Kendrick and all these things. Sometimes we just need to sit down, have genuine conversations about our childhoods, what happened to us, our behavior, where we are, where we are trying to go, where we are coming from. Genuine, honest conversations, inventory on a regular. The fact that someone got the promotion ahead of you, people who you thought were dumber than you, who were in the same class, they are now working but you don't have work. How are these things affecting you? You need to be honest and have conversations on this on a regular basis, because otherwise this thing become those small insects, small things that are piling up within you, until one day you are having an episode, but now you can't really trace to say what is the issue. No, it's many issues, many issues, because you have not taken inventory on a regular basis to just see what is coming in, what is going out, the things I have listed. Especially in this time of social media, guys, we need to be very careful, because sometimes some movies that we watch are very disturbing. Like, I have made, maybe 2-3 years back, I've made a conscious decision that I'm never going to watch horror movies ever again in my life. I'm not going to subject my mind to that. There's no reason to. I've made a conscious, deliberate decision that I'm not watching horror movies again. Because sometimes the things we watch can be very disturbing, the things we listen to. But it's nothing, because we don't take inventory on a regular basis. And those things accumulate bit by bit, until it gets to a point where it really just becomes disturbing. So we need this on a regular basis. Not once a year, not on a regular basis. If it's weekly, because this is almost related to the points I have made earlier about daily checking yourself. Check yourself. How are you? Because we usually greet each other. Hey, how are you? Before you greet other people, first greet yourself when you wake up. Say hello. Good morning. How are you? It's not just to say I'm fine, but really, how are you today? Are you okay? Breathing fine? Your mind okay? Or are there recurring issues that are coming up again and again? Things you perhaps need to find a confidant or a professional maybe to talk to. Because, like I said earlier, we have been through things, we are going through things, and a lot is happening to us on a day. So we need to take these things seriously. Same outcome, but different causes. It's like if I have a wound that is inflicted by oil, it's treated differently than a wound that is, let's say, caused maybe by fire or water. Those things have a different cause of treatment. It's wound, open, same wound, but how it happened determines a different cause of treatment, because those materials that caused are not the same. Mental health is usually one big blanket statement that is just thrown at things, but these are different things as well. Depression, anxiety, burnout, all these things fall under this category of just to say it's mental health. All right? Say mental health disorders, you can say. But two people can be depressed, or different people have depression, but their cause is not the same. And I think that's very important to understand. And because the cause is not the same, the solution to that depression is not the same. So to just throw these generic things that we do, talk more, be more vulnerable, be more. That's why I have a bit of an issue with these generic terms thrown around to what I'm calling very distinct and very specific problems. Two people can be all having anxiety, but the cause of the anxiety is not the same. And therefore, to help them, we cannot just throw all these words at them. These are situations which have to be dealt with on a case by case, because the journey to here is not the same for different people. There's someone who's depressed because they lost their job. They are really going through a bind. They are wondering, how am I going to feed my family? How? That is the concern that is in their mind. What? And they enter a deep state of depression. They are numb, they are not functioning, they are what? And you will discover that this person finds a job. Slowly, their mind comes back to normal. Slowly, their mind starts to entangle things and they start to see everything starts to become okay because they've gotten a job. That was the problem. There are people who are depressed because of grief. The person lost someone close to them and they can't quite adjust to the new reality without that person. That is a different kind of depression to that of a job. Because you could give this person a job if they didn't have all the money in the world. It still will not bring the parent back. So that one you need to deal with in a different kind of way. So yes, it's depression in the end. When they describe what they're going through, they're asking, then you say, oh, and their behavior, you can tell when this person is depressed. And they are drinking a lot. But how did they get there? Different journeys. That's what I'm saying. Same outcome, different causes. And that is important. It's very important. Instead, now to all these people, some lost their jobs, some lost their parents, some they found out their wife of 10 years or girlfriend or what for 10 years is cheating with their brother. All this is depression, but you cannot just say they need to open up more. You need to be more vulnerable. You need to be more, because how does it help them? So this is why I'm a bit averse to the generic advice that is just peddled in the media to everybody who is going through mental health. Which part? What exactly? Are you talking about? Is it talking to the people with anxiety? Talking to the people with burnout? Are you talking to the people with depression? Who are you addressing? Because you need to be specific. And also when you get to the specific things that are here, burnout, anxiety, depression, how did the person get there? So that's why each story is unique and should be treated so, instead of just us having these generic statements. And some of these things you will not really know until you go through it. Because sometimes when I see people talk about some of these things who haven't been through, it's evident. Because someone talking from textbook knowledge and I don't know, maybe AI research is different from someone who talks from experience. Because there are just, no matter how many books you read on depression, if you haven't been through it, there are just some things you can't know, and you can't really fault people. I mean, they mean well, they want to help, but sometimes people just don't know what they don't know, and that's okay. But it's important to know the distinct differences between all these different things that we just generally blanket and say mental health. And it's also important to know which advice to give to which people, because people's journeys in this thing is different. And with this, I hope, and I really hope I know it is said the person is responsible for what they say and not for what people think of what they say, but I really hope you get my heart in this. I'm not saying the efforts to talk about mental health in the media and the things they put out are not um, they are not efforts put in the right place, but I think that we could approach these conversations a little bit better. We can definitely approach these things better and have the conversation. And I wish that the conversation that becomes more mainstream and more popular is the conversation around prevention, because we have been successful with HIV. We are at a point where people don't really, many people, like the Trevor Noah joke where he said he was on the plane and he coughed, the plane shook at the time of Ebola, when Ebola was like, in Africa there was a breakout. After he coughed, and they say when he coughed, the plane shook, and he looked at the guy and said, "Well, chill, calm down, man. It's just AIDS." So to say, as much as that was a joke, but just to say, with what we have achieved with HIV, in the sense that the stigma is no longer there, and we have all learned to fully take responsibility for our health. We get tested, we use condoms, we have adjusted to that reality. So I really wish that we can also get to the point where we understand that your mental health is your responsibility. The government can make efforts, family can make efforts, but when you look at it as your responsibility, we stop looking at it as something that we are just hoping we react to when it happens to us putting measures in place to say, when I feel a little bit of this way, what can I do to get myself out of? Because I'm not saying that we can get to a point where you have no issues, you have no nothing. No, that is life. That is life. That is everyday life. Stuff is gonna happen to you, but when you are armed with knowledge, armed with understanding, when things happen, you are able to approach it in a healthy manner, in a manner that does not leave you in a place where you are now struggling to cope mentally and all. You know all the steps that one might take. You know that you open up. You know that the lifestyle you live is set up in such a way that even when trouble strikes, it's not catching you by surprise. You'll be found prepared because you are armed with knowledge, with understanding, and with practices that you can go on a daily to process all these things, as opposed to just drinking everything away, ignoring everything that's happening to you, piling up things, and then you find yourself in a difficult place. And we are trying to avoid the difficult place, and hopefully we don't get there. For those who get there, obviously other measures have to be taken, but if we can prevent more people from getting to that difficult space where they want to check out of life, I think that is something that is worth committing our lives to.